Welcome to the February forecast with Sandy and Susan. I'm Sandy Rueve with Intention Beads, along with...
And I'm Susan Gidel, financial astrologer here in Chicago, snowy Evanston. We got about 8 inches of lake effect snow yesterday, and spent a lot of time yesterday shoveling snow and moving it around.
Oh, I stayed warm inside. However, so we're going to get through a lot today, even though we know that February is the shortest month of the year. We'll go through each transit that is occurring on that day. We have some, as people arrive, and tell me where you're from. Get in the chat and tell me who's joining, where you're from. Katie's here. Hug, hug, kiss, kiss. And
despite February being a short month, there is a lot going on.
Yeah. Hey, Jane, how are you? Welcome.
Hi, Jane.
Yeah, as you pop in, let us know where you're from. And we're going to actually start with, when we get started, we're going to start with what's happened overnight, that Venus has station direct. Big deal. Big deal for those that have Venus as their time lady or Venus as their helmsman of their chart. For me, it's about my midheaven, my career. So, but it for everyone is about connections, love, art, beauty, those kinds of things.
Money.
And money, values, and worth, and what you spend your money on. Yeah. So before we start, hey, Shelly's here. Hi, Shelly. I want to go over something that I mentioned to I'm making a blank. My constellation bracelet workshop. We spoke till about midnight last night. We had a session, but I introduced what's called the changing of the gods, and this is if you're interested in astrology, it's going to hit the astrology community first. This has been a 9-year in the making of this, what started to be a film. It is now a 10-part documentary series. And they have decided not to go into the movie theaters and have a distributor, that they're going to do independent distribution. And so they're using the astrologers to get the message out, get these links out so that you can watch it free right at the Pluto return of the United States, which is in February, later February. That I think they're going to go live February 22nd, but you have to get on their mailing list. And how you do that is go to changingofthegods.com, and it'll look like this. And there is a section here that it'll actually pop up with it, within like 10 seconds, that to put your email address in here. And so I'll pause here, Alex. I want to go backwards where it says there is a correlation between human history and the movement of the planets, that this is a revolutionary series for a revolutionary time. If you scroll down a little bit further, this is the quote that I want to use here further. This Changing of the God is a 10-part docuseries that uses the lens of archetypal astrology to paint a sweeping journey across historical cycles of revolution and world-changing transformations that deliver us into the fierce urgency of now. And so it watches the Uranus-Pluto alignments through history. And we are and here is the cycles. We'll just do this really quick, from the 1700s, to the conjunction and to the square that we've just come out of the square. Dr. Richard Tarnas, who's a brilliant astrologer and a Jungian psychoanalyst, and is teamed up with the co-writer, director, producer, Kenny Osbald, who actually started Bioneers. And if anybody knows about Bioneers, I've had a little bit of experience with that. It's about looking at the progressive ways of the world. And this is the world, this is the earth, this is the planet that we live on. And so we were just coming out of this final, well, it's not a final, but we're just finishing this 2007, 2020 square of this Uranus-Pluto cycle. And so it's the first square we're coming out. He uses a 15-degree orb, which is why it's so 13 years long, and how we are moving backwards, forwards, and we are feeling right in the center. And we are at what Becca Tarnas talks about. We are at the survival for our planet. So go on. It's free.
Go ahead.
Well, it's free. Go on to this website, changingofthegods.com. Put your email address in. I think it is on February 7th. They send you something. It's kind of unclear to me. I was able to watch the first episode, which was jaw-dropping, and it's the first episode. Now, you won't see this until the 22nd of February, and they're going to be running every day an episode, all day long for 10 days. And I think at the final day, you're going to see it all, and then it's going to go away. And then they're going to figure out where they're pushing out this docuseries next. So you're going to start hearing it. If you're interested in astrology or in following astrology, you're going to hear about this changing of the gods.
And this is Richard Tarnas is the author of probably my very favorite, most recommended book for people who want to understand how astrology affects all of us. And he wrote a book called Cosmos and Psyche. It's probably that thick. And it's fascinating to see. He started with the theory of he's a sociologist by trade. And he wanted to know what made societal shifts, cultural shifts in the world. And he ended up at astrology and the long-term outer planet cycles. And so it's a fascinating book. And I'm sure that this series makes it come to life easier and more accessible, probably in video. But still, if you're really into it, I can't recommend the book highly enough, Cosmos and Psyche. It's on Amazon. It's easy to get.
And I can't recommend the Changing of the Gods because I saw the first episode, and then I was lucky enough to be involved in I wasn't on the panel, but we were in the audience of panel with Dr. Richard Tarnas, his daughter Becca, who's also an astrologer, and the director and producer and co-writer. So anyway, let's move on. So everybody get your in here. Oh my gosh, we got Claudia from Germany. Hi. Get on that Changing of the Gods. All right, so let's quick go to the US Sibley chart, Alex. We're going to do Susan and I are talking. It's kind of the first thing. If anybody does have their astrology cheat sheet, right? Let me get your cheat sheet. These are either $10 or we're prorating if you buy it all at one time. If you buy it throughout the year, we're prorating one price, and Alex prorates that as the months go on. So the first thing that we have on our overview, even though when we get ready to do our transits, we're going to go back and start today. But Susan and I are doing the United States Pluto return. If you're into astrology, you've heard about this, that in 1776, July 4th, that the Constitution we broke away from the British rule. And here we are having our first Pluto return. Pluto is a 240, 50-year cycle. So we have never had this before. However, Susan, you've pointed out in our slide presentation for this event coming up on Wednesday at 5:30 Chicago time Central. It's a $25 fee. We are not doing personal charting. So anybody that did pay that extra $5 for the personal, you're going to get it back, because we're not attaching this to someone's personal, because this is to everybody in the world.
Yeah. And particularly everybody in the United States. This is why it's such a big deal. Because we're a big country. There's a lot of us.
And we can see where we're on the US Sibley chart, which is what is usually used. And we see this up at the corner, it's July 4th, 1776. And we see that the inner wheel is the beginning of America. And then we see up here, February 20th, we see that Pluto is returned to itself after all these years, 240, 200 and something years. And so we're going to talk about that. And we're going to, and we don't have any reference of what it would have occurred because it's not occurred yet. But we will go to some squares, some oppositions. Susan's done a really nice research on England's 3 Pluto returns.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, there's no doubt that this is critical in, we and historians far beyond us will be looking at this period of time in the United States as a point of a critical situation that potentially changes the course of the country. And which way, we don't know.
Yeah, and but we see it, right? We see that there's, Pluto is the decay, the destruction, the transformation, the evolution for one purpose. And, this is the flip of that is to rebirth something, to give new life to something that we feel, we can see it's being destroyed. Something it's everywhere we look. And, in one quick thing before we kind of get into our plan here today is what we see first anytime Pluto comes to a natal planet, and we've all had something in our lives, is you see the destruction first. You have to see the deadening of something, the decay, the icky, the scary. You have to see that first before you get to see the new blooms and the new life. So, we're here right now. It happens in less than a month. We get the first of 3, which are all in this year, 2022. All right, sign up. It's $25. It's worth it. It'll set your long range scope into a better focus for this year of 2022.
Yeah, and the issues that are going to be important and will continue to be important, and the things to be on alert, to pay attention to for the news, in the news.
All right, let's start with our February forecast, but we're going to start with today because today is Saturday, and we just woke up this morning and Venus has moved direct. And of course, I know, I love this. It happened at 2:46 a.m. and she knows who she is now. She's able to reconcile with those relationships that are on her level. And hopefully in the last 40 to 41 days, your Venusian qualities have taken a grand step up the staircase, and you're seeing new connections, new things, new people, new relationships that are at this new level. And yes, you might have to look back down and pull people up with you, but you're moving up. And so I love Venus. In fact, I made a talisman this morning about unfolding the silver lining.
Oh, cool. Cool. So you haven't been to bed at all?
I did wash my hair, which you can kind of see it's still wet. All right.
So, well, for me, Venus retrograde, and it started on December 19 and it ended this morning. And for the markets, Venus retrograde is usually bearish. Okay, so I talk about that in my newsletter in December. And what happens to the markets when Venus first turns retrograde? I mean, on the day it turns, but it was a bottom and it rallied 4% into a high in early January. And I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't happen very often, but all right, fine. But then from the 4th of January to the 24th of January, 3 weeks, the S&P fell 12% while Venus was retrograde. From close to close, from the time Venus went retrograde in December to where it closed yesterday, at the end of the Venus retrograde, the US stock market as measured by the S&P 500 was down 4.1%. So even if you'd suffered the pain of a 4% rally, if you'd sold it at the beginning of the retrograde period and closed it out when the retrograde is over, you would have made 4%. Now, so that means just in general that I expect the pressure that we've seen in the stock market in January to lift now that Venus is direct. So
taking a step up on the grand scale.
So, and Alex has a link. I've written a special report about my 2022 outlook for the stock market in general, as well as the big issues I see astrologically. And I have that for sale. And there's a link. Alex has a link. There's a coupon code. Use friend 2022 as the coupon code to get 25% off. I priced it at $120, so you're 25% off for being a friend of us here at Chatting with the Stars. Makes it $90, and it takes you through each month, my kind of outlook for each month in the markets, as well as the trading days that are look bullish or bearish for each month. Now, I will warn you, I'm having a Mercury retrograde issue with my site today. That I hope is cleared up by Monday. So you can try it, but I wasn't able to get to my own site this morning to do anything. So Mercury retrograde, bad. And hopefully my tech helper people can straighten everything out no later than Monday. So maybe try Monday.
Okay. Okay, well, thanks. That's a great offer. And I like the fact it's friends because, you know, Venus does what like connections and friendships.
Yeah.
All right, let's go tomorrow, Sunday, the 30th. We get the sun making a square to Uranus. And this is the end of the month check-in for me. I call this my Astro Interesting Part 2, because at the very beginning of the month, which is the day, January 1st, we had sun trining Uranus, which was an easy way to express and to open up new ideas and to be excited about things and spontaneous. And that was actually the first day of my retreat. But now it's square. At the end of the month, it's square. So it's like, what was your New Year's, intention or resolution when it seemed so attainable? Because now the 30-day square disrupts the plans. You're either, it's either sit tight here while this is, or adjust your crown, trying to figure out what it is that is important for you now, because it's a little testy now.
Yep.
So you're doing a check-in on what you said you wanted to do at the beginning. Things that you're not doing now, either sit on them or readjust.
Yeah. And it could be, Uranus is about surprises and tension. And so, potential surprises coming at you tomorrow. Maybe this is what's going on with my site.
But when you said site, literally Mercury retrograde, you mean website.
Website.
I'm thinking there's something wrong with your eyes.
No, my website.
There's another Mercury miscommunication. I'm like, Susan, oh my God, I didn't know you had a problem with your eyes. You want me to read everything? Oh, okay. Misunderstanding, clarifying question.
There we go. Oh. Okay.
All right, let's go to the new moon on Monday. This is late for us here in Chicago, but it's 11:46 p.m. So it really could be wherever you are the next morning. And this is the year of the tiger. This is the Chinese New Year. It's the water tiger, actually. And so, which is anybody that is having an age this year, a birthday this year, that is derivative of 12. So that would be, 72, 60, 48, 36, and down, down, down is you are a water tiger. And this is strength, the exorcisms, I'm going to say exorcism of evils, and to be brave. And this actually has this new moon, sun, moon conjunct Saturn in Aquarius at 12 degrees. And it's conjunct Saturn. So there is limitations. It's not my favorite lunation, and it's square Uranus. So it is tying back up that Saturn Uranus square of, of trial and error and conflict that we've really been clashing with all of 2021. So we're still in close proximity. So, we need some high frequency to overcome these obstacles.
But it's a new moon. And so, if you figured out what that is, then it's a good time to put the plan into motion to move it along, to overcome that square and do something new about it.
Yeah, you can set yourself. It's like, what do I need to overcome these obstacles? It's you're in a waxing period. So it's like, active energy for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we go to Thursday, February 3rd. Now we're in February. And this is Mercury stationing direct. All of, or most of, January, we had the two personal planets, Venus and Mercury retrograde. And so now here, Venus stationed direct today and Mercury stations on the 3rd. So I want you to, and it's near this 26-degree Capricorn, which is, where Venus stationed retrograde on December 18th or December 19th, depending what late in the day. So what have you reconsidered, Mercury reconsidered about your Venusian subjects? It's time to move this forward. You can take it a little bit slow because it is in Capricorn. So it says, make sure you're footed, you're doing the right thing, but you can start moving forward now.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of my main message too, is that when Mercury moves direct, it's like, okay, let's take a look at what we've been talking about and looking at for the last 3 weeks. And it's okay to go ahead slowly. Mercury isn't up to speed yet, but at least the pressure of, and vacation mode of Mercury is over.
I love it. Friday the 4th, we have Mars making a sextile to Jupiter, and Mars is in Capricorn, where he is exalted. So Mars has everything at his fingertips to maneuver and produce and construct. And in a minor aspect to Jupiter, who's in his domicile. So these two planets, and I always like to look back. I don't know why I've been writing this way recently, they were squaring each other on December 8th. So if you could go back to your calendar, go back to your journal and see what that square was about, because now you can look back at that and maybe you don't even need to, but it's a situation that was once difficult is now getting easier. So try it on for size. It's fitting into the parts.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is my favorite day in February, the 4th, because like you said, Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It's sextile Jupiter in its ruling sign of Pisces. Two really strong planets working together well the day after Mercury turns direct. So, it's the kickoff to the next 3 months where we have all the planets direct. And so that's why it's my favorite day. And Mars in Capricorn and Jupiter in Pisces are both really high-minded, want to do the right thing for the right reason. And so I think it's a beautiful period, or this aspect. And once again, it's a sextile, so you have to actually make an effort. It's not going to fall in your lap. You have to take the opportunity to do something that is good for you, good for others, good for everybody. Really interesting. I think that the Winter Olympics starts on February 4th.
I love that idea, right?
Yeah.
This is
So
Mars being the athlete and Jupiter being worldwide, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
So
point.
that'll be cool. So my favorite day, the 4th.
And a little later that day is the sun making a conjunction to Saturn. And so this is sober and practical. And what are you responsible for? What are you not responsible for? Be realistic, set your expectations. It'll be way easier to stay on your track.
Yep. And the ability to set new innovative rules is my note in our cheat sheet. And also note that winter is half over on this day. We are halfway between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. Yay. And from a financial perspective, that's one of the 10 days to watch for a change of trend, as legendary trader W.D. Gann watched, because it was halfway between two of the equinox solstice points. It's a pivot in terms of energy.
Interesting. We're going to keep that in mind. Tuesday, the 8th is my favorite day. And this is Mars. Again, still Mars is going to be in Capricorn, where he's exalted until early March, is making a trine to Uranus. And this is about free and daring, being spontaneous. Changing here and now just might work in your favor. So it's very surprising energy. And it's sitting right on my midheaven, which is why it's my favorite.
Oh my God.
And so there's this, well, it's actually Mars is making a trine to my midheaven and Uranus is sitting on my midheaven. So something I'm expecting some sort of nice trine surprise that kind of falls in my lap around my work, my, intention beads, my career, something like that. This reminds me of, I wrote here, remember the Bali challenge. There a couple of years ago, I know I'm in fact, I think there's somebody here right now that knows about this. We were walking at the Four Seasons. It was our final day. We weren't staying at the Four Seasons in Bali, and we were walking, and there was all this water, all these like beautiful, beautiful fountains and pools. And oh my gosh, it was just gorgeous. And then the sun had gone down, so it was dark. And somebody said to one of the girls, I've got $50 burning in my pocket, or whatever rupees that was. I dare you to skinny dip in that pool right there. She literally untied something up here because she was wearing Bali clothes, untied, dropped, went into the water. The least most expected girl that you would not think that would do that, needed a towel held up on her when we were going into the temple. Did it. And so it was this like daring to be spontaneous, being free and feeling like you do have a little bit of that. Of course, we're not going to jump over the edge of the cliff, but have this like active energy here, dare to do something a little out of your comfort range. And that's why it's my favorite.
Yeah. And I can certainly understand why. Particularly with it conjunct your midheaven, with Uranus, with it connected to your midheaven, both of them. And my note about it was big energy to do surprising, unexpected things. And it is just like you described. So I don't know that I have no story that is as good as that one. But once again, remember that Mars in Capricorn is so upright and so determined to do the right thing that these surprising things will be good, will be valuable. It's not Mars and Aries where it's just to be a bulldozer. it's to wave the flag for something that is valuable and good and has long lasting input or impact.
Well, I'm going to add to my story then real quick.
Okay.
So when she gets out, right, and there's people that we're at a hotel. When she gets out, and the other girl hands her the and it was American dollars actually, because it was just like, what do I have American dollars for? And hands her the $50, and she said, "Good, now I can take a taxi home from the airport when I get back to the States, and I don't have to take the train." So it was for a noble cause.
Yeah.
That was
Noble. That's a good word. Noble.
no. Yeah. All right, let's keep moving. Friday the 11th, we've got Mercury making the third and final pass to Pluto. Okay, Mercury is direct here. Remember, now moving up and hitting Pluto at 27 degrees. This is 3 of 3. Solutions in or on our hands. This is the hard fact that has made an impression. Now, your ideas have transformed after his third visit to the alchemist. I want to pause here, and I mentioned this on my podcast, and I mentioned it to my group last night at midnight, that yesterday we had this as well when Mercury was retrograde to Pluto, right? And what is Pluto about? The decay, the taboo, the dark side, the shadow side, that hard side. And it came through my skimmed feed yesterday that they have banned particular books from the school libraries and the school shelves, and it's things about Holocaust and the gay rights movement, race, the critical race theory, and it was just, again, Mercury, the communicator, the books, the written word is banned from not teaching children where they're supposed to be curious. Is now it's hitting the news. So I'm interested to know what happens on this Friday the 11th in relationship to these books that are being taken off the shelves and not taught in the classroom. I think there's going to be some sort of twist to it, hopefully.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that as at the third pass, what you expect to see is that issues from the previous two come to resolution in some way. And it would be interesting, Sandy, to go back and see what was happening with that issue at the end of December. Because what I was looking at was, okay, well, what was happening in the world at the end of December, the first pass, and December 30th, exactly, the first Mercury conjunct Pluto in Capricorn was when US President Biden and Russia President Putin got on the phone for 50 minutes to talk about what would happen if Russia invaded Ukraine. And this is when they actually the United States set out, okay, here's the sanctions that we're going to impose if you do that. And so that happened on the first pass of Mercury conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. Powerful people, powerful messages, power plays. And so certainly yesterday and this week, there's been more discussion about that that kind of fervor is rising. I expect that it could resolve by this around the time of the third pass, February 11th, one way or the other.
Well, one way or the other, because I've got something to say once we get to the middle of the week of that week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get to Monday first. So, yeah. But I agree. That's interesting. Thank you for doing that research. That even heightens this a lot more for me.
Well, and interestingly too, I heard on the news yesterday that Russia sometimes has used the Olympics as kind of a news cover for doing undercover kinds of things. And so this is kind of right in the middle of the Olympic period. So once again, just a little intrigue in terms of keep your antennas up for news in this mid-February period.
Well, because Pluto is the underground. It's the underworld. It's things being happening underneath the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Monday the 14th, we get the Mercury now is moving back into the sign of Aquarius. Now he's already been here, but he had to move backwards into the former sign when he was retrograde. So he's coming back in, and I wrote here, all cool ideas, all really progressive ideas return if they were stalled or thought they were not worthy of focus. They can come back now. So it's more inclusive for everyone to be involved. And I did write down January 3rd through the 14th was when this Mercury was in this sign before he moved backwards into Capricorn. So it seems like discussions are back on for how we move forward, which is in alignment with what you just said.
Yeah. Yeah. And remember, this is Valentine's Day. So Mercury enters Aquarius on Valentine's Day. So this is not the day to hide away and whisper sweet nothings to only one person. This is the day to express your love for the world. You know, put memes up on whatever social media platforms you have and say, the world is fabulous. I love you. I love you, world. I love everybody in the world. Blah, blah, blah. Mercury and Aquarius on Valentine's Day.
And then on Wednesday, the 16th, we have Venus conjuncts Mars. Now, it's really like more that Mars is conjuncting Venus. You know, in astrology, it's like astrology 101. You always say the fastest moving planet is making an aspect to the slower moving planet.
Right.
That's kind of the terminology and the language that astrologers use. So you got to get on board with that first class. However, so it would be normal to say Venus conjunct Mars because Venus is
would be moving up to Mars. Yeah.
Venus is always, Venus takes 1 year to go around the chart. Mars takes 2 years to go around the chart. So if you think about it, Venus is twice as fast as Mars on her regular speed and on Mars's regular speed. This day, because Venus is just slowly coming from her retrograde and she's moving a little bit slower and Mars is moving super fast, Mars overtakes. Wow. So you would say literally in this, your instructor would say, oh, that's wrong. Mars conjunct Venus, that's wrong. Be like, no, teacher, Mars is faster than Venus right now. Holy wow. So I don't think I've ever seen this.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Now, we're in the field of war and peace, right? Mars represents what? He is the planet of war. Venus is the planet of connections and getting along and love and finances and value, right? So Mars overtaking Venus kind of leads the way, leads the march. And we know that Venus now is a morning star. She's a Lucifer Phosphorus. So she has more warrior power now, more warrior type energy because she's yang, right? Venus goes from yin to yang when she goes from her evening star to her morning star, because she's out of the retrograde or during the Kazimi, she becomes a morning star. So to me, this is like, let's use the war runs past peace.
Whoa.
So to me, this is more aggression.
Which is related to what we just said about potentially Ukraine issues. It is 4 days ahead of the exact Pluto return for the United States, which is potentially not a pretty picture either. So yeah, mid-February.
Yeah, and so by the end of February, and actually it's not the end of February, it's like the beginning of March. I want to say it's March 5th or 6th. Did I write that down? Yeah, March 6th. Venus starts picking up speed. So here's Mars and Venus, and he's moving forward, and they're kind of interplaying. They're interplaying. So it's really the Hieros Gamos of it. And they're creating something, right? This is the
Right.
soul union, and they're moving. And do they like each other? I mean, it's kind of can be that friction tension of what you might call passionate lovemaking.
They like
But
each other in a Capricorn kind of way.
making plans for the future.
Yeah.
And then Venus on March 6th, Venus passes up Mars and stays ahead of it. So does that mean peace overcomes the warrior? So let's keep our eyes and ears are, kind of like back in the 1930s, kind of like leaning into the news, listening to the radio, because it's more, we get more news radio style these days than we do TV, at least me. It's all coming through the girl in the box over there or on my phone, which is more radio frequency than it is television. So I don't know, is there something riling up here? Are things coming to maybe a decisive climax? And
Yeah.
like I said, which way is it?
We don't know.
Anyway, that's also the day of the full moon.
Mm-hmm.
This is a full moon at 28 degrees of Leo, which is actually sitting right on my Pluto. And so there's a couple people on the call right now. Our age group has this placement. And this is at 10:56 a.m. And I called this the king and his court and his people, because this is the highest, brightest moon, because it is at the bendings of the North and the South node. It is square. This lunation is square the nodes. And so this is like the halfway point. You just gave a halfway point of the winter solstice and the spring equinox. This date is the halfway point from the last eclipse to our next eclipse. When we're at the halfway point of the nodal axis. So to me, it's like, does the king and his court and his people, do they agree to be different on different sides? Are they trying to come together on the topics on the table? Are they to move forward, or are they moving backward?
And I will remind you that this full moon is conjunct the degree of the Great American Eclipse from 2017 that ran from the northwest part of the country down to the southeast. It literally cut the country in two. It was the only place it was visible in the world, and it put the focus on the divisions within the United States, and that was in 2017. And so this full moon highlights those again, once again, 4 days ahead of the US Pluto return. And the same day as War and Peace, with Venus and Mars happening. So I don't know, kind of a tension-filled day, I think.
Yeah, this is a busy week. This is a lot going on this week. A lot going on. We better start moving forward. I think Alex is saying, come on. Thursday the 17th, this is my astro interesting day, because we have two outer planets. Jupiter is making a sextile to Uranus. And this is like changes to growth and expansion. Are things getting bigger? Are they getting smaller? Are they changing? It's unpredictable. But it makes perfect sense, considering that Jupiter is in Pisces, that Uranus is, and that this Jupiter is helping, it's aiding in the liberation as a guide, trying to pull things in the more peaceful, maybe that's the way.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to get a change. Something needs to liberate, something needs to change. Let's do it in an easier method.
Mm-hmm. And this is a long cycle. At 12, 13 years, because it's Jupiter with Uranus. And the sextile, I think it was Lieutenant Commander David Williams in his book from the 50s, went through all the transits and found that this transit, Jupiter sextile Uranus, was often associated with bullish stock market and marking the start of a new business cycle. Now, typically that would be higher, but we're kind of at the peak of an economy kind of thing. So, but at any rate, it's a big deal to watch from an economic and market perspective, the Jupiter sextile Uranus.
Then we go Friday the 18th, and the sun moves into Pisces. Happy birthday to me and Alex. And I really call this, I mean, the sun, it's really cool. Check this out. The sun has been in Aquarius with the ruler of Aquarius, Saturn, co-present. Sun moves into the next sign in Pisces and says, oh, hey, ruler of Pisces, Jupiter, I'm coming to your party. What can we creatively heal? Let's have a get together. And so in this water placement, right, it's the joining of Jupiter in his domicile. Like this is like going into a sacred bath almost to me. I really actually like this. It enters a,
yeah. And it's to me the time when you begin to focus again on healing and humanity, the things that Pisces stands for. And I've always thought of Pisces as that more than the creative aspect. I have to like remind myself that it's that Pisces is very creative too.
and imaginative. I think that's, yeah, like, it's like, here's a dream, here's a thought. Is that possible? Oh, you know what? I can back that up. I can make this, to do that. Oh, I got to switch that a little bit, but I can. And I think that too is, part of the Pisces energy to do very creative things because we have great imagination. But that too, we can also imagine there being a, the monster in the closet, and something is underneath the bed, and I better not get out of bed because they're going to grab my foot and stab me to death. Trust me, I'm a Pisces. I can go to the imagine it. Okay, let's go to.
You could imagine, given what we just talked about, that war peace and the full moon in Leo with the eclipse, that stuff ahead of the Pluto return, you can think then too, okay, well, let's be creative about how we can solve this problem. That there's an opening in terms of, okay, well, that hasn't worked. Let's try something different.
Mm-hmm. More pieces because Pisces can see the macro, the full range of what is possible.
Yeah.
But also Pisces can be delusional too. So I think that after this really rough week, we're going to go into a period of calming. And we get to then Wednesday, the 23rd of February, and we have the Mars making a sextile to Neptune. So again, too, this is Neptune. And so to me, this is like an oasis is up ahead. It's like, oh my gosh, here is the beautiful tapestries and glasses of wine and comfortable area where we're going to move toward that, and hoping that we can see or imagine. We just talked about imagine, and practicality meets the unimaginable here. Something comes from this. So we keep wondering and we keep wandering here on purpose. We need to be on purpose. It's Mars and Capricorn.
Yeah. And once again, Mars exalted in Capricorn, sextile Neptune, a co-ruler of Pisces. So not unlike the Mars-Jupiter transit, but this time with the other ruler of Pisces, Neptune. So, and in a sextile, you have to make some effort. And you can make some effort in and move really deep issues forward with this transit on the 23rd. You can overcome a lot, I think, or at least imagine that it can be done.
Mhm.
And the sextile asks you to actually take even the tiniest step in that direction.
Yeah. What are you dreaming? What are you wishing?
Yeah.
What are it's Neptune. Make something real. This is very romantic, soft placement. Then we get to Thursday, the 24th, and here comes Venus. Remember, the Mars Venus are doing ding ding. They're dancing together in this union. Now Venus comes in sextiles Neptune. So this is sweet, really sweet, and this can go a long way. So maybe that oasis that you saw the day before with Mars, something's coming into focus, is a very romantic haven of excess with beautiful women and fine fabrics and delicate pastries and rich wines. And because it's the Venus and she can make things happen, because she's looking at her exaltation in a sextile, because she's exalted in Pisces. So she's looking like, I'm on my way, set everything up, I'm coming. So this Neptune really seems to calm down the planet of war and the planet of peace, of love. So it's kind of like, let's get dreamy, let's get dreamy. But let's talk about, it's a sextile, so it says take the opportunity, but let's also cut through the bullshit, right? Like,
Yeah.
we have to also make sure that, is that real? Right? Is that real? So it's 2 lovely days. I'm a Pisces, so I believe in this, the oasis and the sweet, really sweet period. So what's your take on that?
Well, my take on it is that Venus is about money, and so when it is in connection, in a nice connection with Neptune, like it is on the 24th, this is the day to put your money where your mouth is. Support the things that you believe in. Support the way you would like to see the world, with a check.
Nice. Also, a little bit later that day is my conflict part of the day on Thursday, 24th. It does seem like, why would I call that a conflict day when the earlier part of the day started? But this is when this Mercury, it makes a square to Uranus, and there's just a tough to swallow pill here. And we need to recall back in January the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. Those are these 4 days in January when this Mercury was stationing retrograde, making the square to Uranus, and stayed there for such a long period that now has returned for the final reaction. And it's Uranus. So erratic behaviors, new information, something that's sudden. But it was something that hopefully whatever occurred that January 13th through the 16th, whoever said what they said can keep to their word, because it wouldn't be so much a surprise, if board is board, like my mom says, when you play cards, you put down a card, you can't pick it back up. Board is board. Right. So when you're saying something during a Mercury retrograde square Uranus, it could be frivolous. It could be, you didn't mean it. Well, it may come up here too, where you need to swallow some words.
Mm-hmm. And I always look at Mercury, the ruler of commerce and trading, square Uranus, particularly in Taurus, as potential surprises from a financial perspective, or in trading. So just be prepared for news during the trading day that could upset the market. And, sure, it could be an upset to the upside, but typically it isn't. When the markets get upset, they typically go down. So,
right.
But, it is the same day as Venus sextile Neptune. So, that's kind of the other side of that, from a money perspective. That's kind of nice. But potentially financially upsetting news on the 24th.
Yeah, I like that, Jane. She just posted, a card laid is a card played. That's going to be I'm going to throw that at my mom. I'm going to see her. We'll probably play cards.
I agree. I even do that online. You know, when I play solitaire online, I could move them, but once I put it in a stack, I leave it there. I don't move it around.
Yeah. No wishy-washiness going on, Miss Capricorn.
No.
All right. That takes us to the end of February. And
the 26th, Saturday, the 26th is when we do our March outlook at 10 o'clock Central, right here.
Okay. So some next action steps. Get to the
changing of the gods.
changingofthegods.com. Get on. It's free. It's free. If I didn't mention that, it's free. Get on there. Get to watching that when they post that third weekend in February. Come to our Pluto USA return, which is this Wednesday. It's Wednesday night. So get your $25 in, please. I think it's really worth it to be live. It'll always be available on our website. And then show up on the 26th of February for our March, and go to Susan's website that is off a little bit. It's not clear. And
for the big long
get her offer for 2022 on the financial scope. Otherwise, we got 3 minutes left. I'm heading to a big birthday. My mom's celebrating her 90th birthday. And where myself, the oldest of four, I have two brothers and a sister, we're about ready to head on to a Zoom call. We've got so many things in the mix. We've got 70 people coming to a party, and we've got skits and things and videos, and I got a dance number I'm going to do. And
let me just say to all of you, does this not sound like someone whose sun is in Pisces?
Leo rising, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm in charge. And so I've called everybody, well, my siblings, to a Zoom meeting, and I said, okay, 11 o'clock, but I'll be doing this thing. But I can see they're already on. They're patiently waiting for me. I love it. I love it. But also Alex is reminding us that there are some spots available and open for Susan and I to do some chatting with the stars after our United States Pluto return on Wednesday. Is that the 3rd or 4th? 3rd.
The 2nd.
Oh, the 2nd, which is Wednesday. Okay. There's some time slots from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. That is Central Time, that we can talk about the Pluto in your chart. We can talk about how this does affect you on a personal level, because it's too hard to do in a general. And that's why we've pulled that off. So thanks, Shelley. I'll tell my mom you said happy birthday. Otherwise, Alex, anything that we missed? Katie, thank you. I'll say that too.
Yep. Lots of big wishes from your mom.
All right, everybody. We'll see you hopefully for the Pluto return. And other than that, we'll see you in a month. All right.
Bye-bye.
Everybody. Love. Beso, beso.